All right, good afternoon, everybody. Regular meeting of the Audit and Finance Committee. I guess second to penultimate meeting of the Audit and Finance Committee. We have one more, I think, in November, and then we'll be switching to our new format, separating the audit functions from the finance functions. So we'll be looking forward to that. Commissioner Johnson, we do have an agenda. Did you have any altercations, or should we adopt the agenda through affirmation?
Let's adopt the agenda.
Okay, so without objection, our agenda is adopted. Our first order of business is the minutes from the July 13th. Did you have any additions, corrections, or are you okay to approve them?
Approved.
Okay, so without objection, the minutes from our July 13th meeting are approved. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Bigby for our first item, the audit of administration management of Evergreen Cemetery. Ms. Bigby, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to introduce Greg Robeson, Audit Manager, who will present this report.
Mr. Roberson, welcome.
Thank you, sir, ma'am. I'm going to present the report on the audit of the administration and management of Evergreen Cemetery operations. Just want to start by saying that we can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. The audit was included in the auditor's audit plan for 2021, and I'm going to start with some introduction and some background. Cemetery coordinator is the primary person responsible for operations at the cemetery, processing of the sales, cemetery lots and graves, collecting payment for sales, preparation of all paperwork, and assisting guests and customers with burial needs, including locating burial sites within the cemetery. Next slide, please. Additional background, the cemetery received its first
Mr. Roberson,
burial.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but would you mind just pulling that mic down just a little
Certainly.
bit? That might.
I can hear fine, so I'm not sure what.
I can hear you. I'm worried that folks at home watching, but I think that was better when you pulled it down.
Is that
so I think
better?
we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Yes, cemetery received its first burial in 1856, so it's been around for quite a while. The original Evergreen Cemetery Association was formed prior to 1888, and eventually, through the years, finally sold the cemetery to the city of Gainesville in 1944. Since that time, and now the cemetery sits on over 56 acres. It's in the heart of the city, and it consists of over 23,000 spaces, of which 3,445 are available to the public as of June 30th, 2020. Additionally, we did an analysis, and based upon the current usage, those spaces should last the city of Gainesville approximately 91 years without any current modification. And just a couple slides here for some data background. You can see that the interment spaces purchased, the interments and spaces purchased, they can purchase a space pre-need, so they can have that, plus those that have already been interred. Then there's also some space there that's currently not available. And then there's spaces for sales for a total of 23,081. Next slide. Again, this is the analysis we did to determine how long the current sales were going to be lasting. You can see the numbers there projected out for 91 years. The objective of our audit, the objective of our audit was the objective of the trust. The cemetery has a trust fund, and it is to provide income that shall be used exclusively for the care and maintenance of lots and spaces, as well as the care and maintenance of the cemetery grounds. A portion of each cemetery lot sale goes to the perpetual care fee. What's called perpetual care fees also goes back to the trust, and then monies are transferred from the trust to the city's general fund on an annual basis to offset some of the maintenance fees. Next slide, please. This is just This is just a visual presentation. It's on page 6 of the report showing the expense and revenue and expense flow. Next slide, please. Oops, ran out of space. Our objective was to review the internal controls around the trust fund allocations for operational expenditures, as well as the administration, operation, and maintenance activities of the cemetery. In that regard, we assessed the adequacy and completeness of policies and procedures, as well as reviewed the administration and management of trust fund allocations and the accuracy and timeliness of the recording of revenue. Next slide, please. In addition to those, we reviewed the fee structure and the chargeback monitoring process related to the ActiveNet program, which is used as a point-of-sale program. We reviewed storage, security, and expenditures for tools and supplies. We reviewed the adequacy and completeness of overall management of the burial lot inventory. And we reviewed the adequacy of user access controls and roles and responsibilities related to the ActiveNet program. Throughout the course of our audit, we identified 4 areas of opportunities for strengthening the controls around administration and daily operations. These areas are the we identified that it was incomplete cemetery lot inventory, insufficient policies and procedures, insufficient oversight and monitoring, and inadequate user access management, and I'll detail those here in just a minute. The first item, incomplete cemetery lot inventory. A full and complete inventory of the lots and spaces of Evergreen Cemetery had not been completed at the time we completed our field work. And additionally, the old yard section of the cemetery, which doesn't contain any sellable lots, had not been completely surveyed. This presents a small risk that a lot may be sold to 2 different people, and then causing an issue or concern should that happen. Management is already working towards a solution, and their action plan includes completing the inventory within the next 4 months. They're going to begin a process evaluating the rubrics necessary to go out for a request for proposal on some software that will help them manage the inventory. And then they'll also be periodically monitoring the inventory with spot checks. The next item, insufficient policies and procedures. While they did have some policies and procedures over cash and cash handling, they didn't have complete policies and procedures over the other operations, including preparation of supporting documentation and maintenance of the burial lot inventory. This presents risk of inconsistent application of their processes, and without written procedures could cause problems if their staffing changes. Management has agreed to establish and ensure standard operating procedures are in place to guide the proper operations, including over those areas that I mentioned: certificate of interment, perpetual care certificates, and managing the inventory. Insufficient oversight and monitoring. The oversight and monitoring of Evergreen Cemetery operations weren't quite sufficient, nor were they consistent. While reviews were routinely conducted, they weren't performed in a structured and repeatable manner, especially as it related to the burial lot inventory, merchant service fees and chargebacks, and monitoring of expenses. Cemetery operations could be interrupted or customer interactions adversely impacted if we don't have these up and running. Management action plans includes enhancing the procedures to include additional oversight as well over the lot inventory, merchant fees and charges, and expenses. The issue number 4, ActiveNet user accounts supporting Evergreen Cemetery operations had inappropriate and inadequate access privileges. 1 of 4 users had more access than necessary, which is a least privilege access type activity. And then we had one user who could perform cash reconciliations while also simultaneously having ability to collect and record and void cash transactions, which is a segregation of duties issue. Circumvention of segregation of duties and key roles of cash handling reconciliations combined with the access just increases the opportunity for fraud, or that it may go undetected. Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs, because the ActiveNet program is used by all of them, will set up a user access management procedure for the ActiveNet software program using the best practice recommendations and the confirmation memo template provided by the Director of Technology and Innovation. They are also going to conduct a periodic review of access rights and responsibilities of ActiveNet users. Overall, with this audit, I want to thank everybody at the Evergreen Cemetery, as well as PRCA and Finance Department for all of their assistance during the audit. Ginger?
Okay, Ms. Beebe. Thank you, Mr. Robertson. Appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioner. We have Christy Mitchell here from Parks and Rec that would like to share a few words about their action plans, if that's okay.
Very good, absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Molden. Welcome, Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you. Christy Mitchell, I'm lead analyst for the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs Department. So I'm here to represent PRCA today regarding the findings of the Evergreen Cemetery audit. First, I'd like to start off to thank Ginger and her audit team for all their time and effort in completing this internal audit for us. It helped to highlight areas of improvement, and the audit team offered us guidance and suggestions on practices that we could implement to better serve our community. So we are actively working towards the management action plans listed on those 4 audit findings that Greg just presented within the report. And we hope to have them completed prior to the due dates of March of 2022. And if there's anything specific on any of those, I can try and answer those questions. Otherwise.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Commissioner, do you have any questions? Okay, I do not either. I look forward to seeing these addressed and closed out in the calendar that's been presented. So we appreciate all of the work that's gone into establishing that and getting it moving forward. So with that, Commissioner, without objection, we'll recommend the City Commission receive this particular report. Okay, we will open it up for public comments on this item. Who do we have with us today?
Mayor Pro, this is Marie.
Hi, Marie.
Hi. If any members of the public wish to call in to share a public comment, you may dial 1-301-715-8592. Then you'll enter the meeting ID 882-1174-5921. We'll repeat those numbers again later. I don't see anyone on the line right now.
Okay, we'll just give it a sort of half a minute or so. And Ms. Kessler, are those numbers on the screen as well if people are watching?
I believe so, but I will confirm with broadcast.
Okay, or if broadcast back there just wants to give me a, I don't know, thumbs up or a. Yes, thank you. Okay, that makes it much easier. Anybody in chambers wish to speak to this item, Evergreen Cemetery audit? Okay, Marie, I'm going to go back to you and give it a few more seconds here just to see.
Once more, if any member of the public wishes to share a comment, and you may dial 1-301-715-8592. The meeting ID is 882-1174-5921. And then you will dial *9 to raise your hand. There's no one waiting, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, could you repeat the very last thing you said, Ms. Kessler?
There's no one waiting.
Okay. And so that number will be what you call in the meeting ID for the rest of the items as well. So if there's anything you would like to jump in on later in our meeting, then feel free to use that. But for now, we'll go on to our second item, which is the auditor's quarterly report. Ms. Bigby.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioner. That was our only audit report for this month. In November, we'll have 3 more audit reports. Our update here will tell you about our work in progress. So I will, if we can start on slide 5, which is the first work in process item. That's GRU badge access and physical key management. And Senior Auditor Diana Ferguson Satterthwaite will speak to this item. And she's virtual.
Okay. Welcome, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Our current work in progress includes the GRU badge access and physical key management audit. GRU uses badges and physical keys to regulate access to its buildings and warehouses. The objective of the audit is to assess the adequacy of badge access controls and the management of physical keys for GRU buildings and storage warehouses. The fieldwork phase is near in completion. We expect to issue a draft report in October for presentation at the November 15 Audit and Finance Committee meeting. Senior IT Auditor Patrick Hegan will give an update on the next audit in progress. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Egan. I'm the lead auditor for the GPD body-worn camera compliance audit. We are reviewing compliance from a couple different perspectives, from the state of Florida legal and statutory requirements, and GPD's general orders, policies, and procedures. Over the course of the audit, we've looked at body-worn camera training, usage, monitoring, enforcement, the video retention, public records requests and redactions, compliance reporting, data security, and user access management. We are approximately 80% through with our fieldwork and will complete the whole engagement next month in October and present the report at the November 15th Audit and Finance Committee. I think we're going back to Ms. Bigby.
Thank you. Mr. Robeson, would you like to speak to the slide? Thank you.
I can't hear myself. There it goes. We are just beginning the review of design and effectiveness of internal controls over financial reporting. Prior fiscal audits over the past 3 years identified internal control weaknesses over financial reporting processes. City Auditor's Office began a follow-up processes last year, which has culminated in this internal audit engagement. Our objective is to assess the adequacy of the design and operating effectiveness of internal controls over the general government financial reporting. We are currently in the planning phase of our engagement. We are conducting interviews right now and process walkthroughs over the next few days, and we expect the engagement to be completed in October and reported to the Audit and Finance Committee in November.
On slide 8, we have the independent review of management's due diligence for the proposed supermarket at the Hawthorne Road site. We will be performing an independent review of management's due diligence efforts. However, the due diligence project, the entire project, has been put on hold for 90 days, I believe. And City Manager Lee Feldman is here, and I believe he's willing to give us a quick update on the project and the due diligence efforts.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Really don't have anything to add. As you know, we've put this on hold as the development team is trying to extend their contract to buy the shopping center and try to conduct more community engagement. I'm anticipating that they will need to make a decision on moving forward towards the end of November, early December, in which case, if they say that they'd like to move forward, we'll can pick up the due diligence at that time.
Okay.
On slide 9, the citywide anti-fraud policy, we're actually now calling it the fraud risk management policy. That is now with the charter officers. We have received suggestions, so we should be able to finalize that policy next week for presentation to the city commission for approval. On slide 10, our recently completed projects, we have the Heartwood Dreams to Reality. It was a pleasure working with the housing team to perform the randomized selection for the 11 affordable housing units. And they are now qualifying those 11 and will come to our November meeting and give us an update on the process. And as a reminder, the entire list of applicants was randomly selected using our audit tool. So if any of the 11, for whatever reason, drop out or don't qualify, then the next person in the list has to be selected, and we audit for compliance with that process. So there's no opportunity for manipulation of the selection. The city commission ethics training was very nice. It was 2 hours of robust conversation with senior attorney, Gray Schaefer from the ethics commission. So we'll try to bring that back to the commissioners next year and maybe even do a longer session. And then, as the mayor said earlier, the audit and finance committee structure has bifurcated to 2 committees, and they will become effective January 1st of 2022. And we are in the process of reviewing applications for the external audit committee member. So we hopefully will have someone to recommend in the next few weeks to the city commission meeting for approval. Periodic monitoring.
Yeah, and let's pause there real quick before I lose my train of thought. First of all, Commissioner, was there anything that you wanted to add or ask based on that update? Okay, so 2 things. First, really quickly, I found so much value in the ethics training, and I'm even maybe thinking, I know it's hard to bring someone of that caliber down here multiple times a year, but if we wanted to do a 4-hour, that would be great. If we even wanted to do a 2-hour, sort of 6 months apart, and focus on different areas, I can see value in that too. But I was, I've been through a lot of ethics training, and I think I got more out of that and found more value in that specific 2 hours than ever before. And part of it was because we did have that interaction with the guest as well as the commission and staff. A lot of the trainings we do is sort of watching a video, and it's just, it doesn't have that same impact. So anyway, really a lot of value in that. The second is, I don't know whether it's more appropriate for the item to come to audit and finance first, or the other way around, but I would like for the GPD body-worn camera audit findings to also go to the police review board for their consideration and questions. So I don't have a strong opinion whether it goes to the police review board before us or vice versa. I mean, I think ultimately it's going to come to the full commission anyway, as long as it's gone through both boards and we get the input and sort of answer the questions, especially that the police review board has, because this is something that they've been very interested in and been, quite participatory in as well for a while. So we can look at their schedule and see how that works out. And I think as soon as it's ready, whatever the next review board meeting is, if you can talk with the chair of that group and see if they're interested in putting it on the agenda, then we can figure it out from there. Is that reasonable, Commissioner? You okay with that? Okay. Okay, please continue, Ms. Rigby.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioner. That's usually something that we do to, for any of the functional areas that we audit that have board oversight. We're very happy to speak at the board and answer questions from the public, whatever the board would like us to do. So
excellent.
We'd be happy to do that. Yep. All right, we're moving on to periodic monitoring, and Senior IT Auditor Patrick Keegan will give you a brief update, and then we have a couple of folks from management that are virtual that will give us an update on this one.
All right, thank you. So this is concerning the enterprise IT governance. As you can see, we have assessed the risk level as moderate. The first enterprise governance steering committee was conducted last June, and an additional meeting has been scheduled since then, and they are considering holding a meeting every month. Internal audit will continue to monitor through periodic monitoring until the governance body is fully developed and sustainable. And something that we think is really important is establishing effective policy, and a citywide data protection policy was presented to the Digital Access Committee on September 13th and will go before the City Commission for approval. Data classification policy is in draft and is expected to be finalized soon. And employee use of surveillance technology with mobile devices, that policy is being discussed currently, and a policy draft is expected soon. And I know we have guests David Duda and TC Kelly. TC.
Hey, good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, staff. TC Kelly, I am the Strategy and Governance Director here in the IT department. So just a quick presentation to share, if you don't mind, if I quickly share my screen here. All right, and let me know if you can see that.
We can.
Okay, so real quick update on what we're doing with enterprise IT governance. So IT governance is kind of one of those things. It's a very broad topic. You ask 10 different people what they think IT governance is, and you may get 10 different answers. So I want to kind of focus in and be a little more specific with what we're doing here. So it's really about strategic alignment of business and IT. You can't really talk about governance and not mention risk and risk management, risk mitigation. And then you can't talk about risk and not talk about standards and policy and compliance with those standards and policy. So what we have coming up here in as far as FY22 goes, we're looking to schedule and host a strategic workshop to where we can better align business and IT. It's crucial that GG and GRU leadership participate and be involved in this workshop. More information is to come, but this is going to be a great opportunity for IT to better align with the business, to understand the technology needs of the organization, and to continue building the relationship and the trust. So this will also provide IT with visibility into all the ongoing technology initiatives here at the city. So I want to also kind of talk a little bit about risk management and what we're doing as we try to identify and mitigate some of the risks here at the city. So we've incorporated a vendor risk assessment into the procurement process. So we work closely with GG and GRU purchasing departments, and the questionnaire will focus around data security. Where our data is being hosted. Is it in the United States? Is it hosted somewhere to where we may need to put a magnifying glass on it, or the concerns? But ultimately, it's to really just talk about and identify some of those risks that may be involved with some of the vendors that provide us with our technology services and solutions. So you're going to see communications around this coming out very soon. So this was really a big win for us as IT, working alongside procurement to incorporate this questionnaire, because it's going to help us identify and assess vendors based on low, medium, or high risk. We talk a little bit about cybersecurity. So there's a lot going on in the cyber world. So you may be familiar with some of the recent cyber attacks. So we talk about the Colonial Pipeline in the city of Oldsmar and the water treatment plant. So cyber threats, in particular ransomware, are increasing and really just creating major concerns for many organizations, and this is including government. So we need to stay very vigilant. We frequently send out communications around security best practices as part of our cybersecurity training and awareness program. We also conduct vulnerability and risk assessments internally, as it ties back to our network and corporate infrastructure. So we take the security of the city's technology, infrastructure, and data very seriously. So one big event that we have coming up, and it's during the month of October, that is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we're going to be hosting a lot of events throughout that month, sending out a lot of communications. We're going to have some guest speakers from Department of Homeland Security and CISA, people who are, down in the weeds addressing cyber attacks on a daily basis, not just at the state and federal level, but, also just across the country on a national level. So very interesting. A lot of good information is going to be shared there. So I encourage everyone who's listening in to join those events. And, it's really good as far as learning and things to be on the lookout for and to stay aware of as it relates to cyber attacks and security. Another big thing we're working on as it ties back to risk is disaster recovery. So working with business areas to develop recovery procedures for some of our mission critical systems and services. So we've identified these mission critical systems. They're defined as those that impact safety and revenue. So if they're down, we want to restore them as quickly as possible. So having some run books and actual recovery procedures we can jump to really quickly to restore these critical systems and services is going to be something that's key in the event of a disaster. Moving on to standards and policy, and this ties back to, again, compliance and just overall governance, but we'll be defining procedures and restrictions for any and all mobile devices that connect to the City of Gainesville's corporate network. So with a mobile device management, more specifically the solution that we're going to be deploying soon, it will enable us to also wipe and erase devices in the event that they're lost or stolen. So obviously, as you all know, you lose a device, it contains corporate data on it, it poses a significant risk. So we want to make sure those devices are wiped and erased in the event that something like that happens. We're also focusing on a secure cloud usage policy. So this is something that's key, especially now that things are moving more to the cloud. So obviously we've deployed Microsoft Office 365. There's a whole slew of services and solutions that we no longer host in our data center. It's hosted in Microsoft's data center. So we want a secure cloud usage policy to really inform and educate customers on how to securely use these cloud services. The IT department is definitely committed to securing the organization's IT systems and data, but we also want to enable employees to carry out their jobs as effectively as possible through the use of these different cloud technologies. So there's a balance between good customer service and security and enabling the employees to get their jobs done. So that's what the cloud usage policy will address. And then, as Patrick mentioned, we'll touch on the data classification policy. That's currently in development. We've worked alongside the city auditor's office, Dave Dude and his team to come up and kind of get a 1.0 of a draft data classification policy. And the purpose of this is to really define how data is identified, classified, labeled, and really protected by its level of importance and potential impact on the city of Gainesville. So we should very soon have that published and hopefully adopted as an official City of Gainesville policy. Next, some of the opportunities we have here with governance and some of the benefits that we look for it to bring. So as I mentioned, strategic alignment. We want to be better aligned with the business, be a better service provider to the customers that we support. We want to be able to have, improved project prioritization and intake of project intake process. I think this will also provide us with increased opportunities to innovate. We can limit duplication of technology and work. So there's quite a bit of technology overlap and duplication here at the city. So in watching the previous commission meeting, it was said, hey, let's look at duplication of services. Well, I definitely agree with that 100%. I support that, but let's also look at duplication of technology. So that's something that governance can help with. It'll also help improve resource planning and scheduling, increased awareness of IT risks, and help us reduce technology debt by assessing risk of current softwares and solutions that we have in place, and create upgrade paths and plans to make those softwares more up to date, more secure. So a little bit about where we are with the governance committee, and this is really going to be the heart of the governance structure here at the City of Gainesville that will bring together organizational stakeholders to really focus on technology and the impacts to the organization as a whole. So, and really, three high-level goals here. And again, I keep going back to strategic alignment because that's where it all starts. So we want to drive IT and business strategy alignment. We want to facilitate the involvement and commitment of executive leadership. So I've been to charter officer meetings, quite a few of them now, talking about IT governance. So we really want IT governance to executive leadership to have a strong role in IT governance to help us make decisions on how best to proceed with some of these technology requests that we receive. And then 3, it's really the evaluation of IT value and the performance of these services. So are we doing the right things? Are we doing them the right way? Are we obtaining the expected benefits? Current timeline of where we kind of are right now. Where do we start? Where are we at? So we've obtained executive sponsorship. We've assigned resources. We're very much understanding some of the problems that we face and we've been facing for quite some time. So going back to the opportunity slide, strongly that ties into that are also our current challenges. So we definitely want to focus and hone in on those, understand what the problems are, understand how we can address those. And then right now we're really on step 4 with defining the governance committees, the structure, and the processes. So this is something that we're taking just small chunks at a time, slow iterative process, but persistent. So this is something that's going to evolve and grow over time. Governance is very much a living thing. It's not something that can stay static. You constantly have to reevaluate, update, and it's something that we don't want. We want it to be effective. So you don't want a lot of red tape, and you don't really want to kill things with the process. So it's got to be effective, and that's what we're going to look to do and make it basically right size for the city of Gainesville. So with that being said, Dave, I don't know if you want to add any comments to that. Dave Duda?
Yeah, this is Dave Duda, Mayor and Commissioner. I'm the technology director, and I've been working with TC. Actually, TC has been doing a lot of the work on this, but just in agreement, and we're working in collaboration for the GRU/GG side. And I agree with them. The governance has to start from the charters down effects. So I think what you'll see coming out of this is a lot of tools that could be used by the charters down. And also, we really focus on trying to understand and give people the value behind it. So when we are creating a policy, make sure that the directors and everyone understands the value behind it, rather than just understanding it's another, another piece of paper they have to sign off on or follow through. So, but yeah, we're working together. That's the thing.
All right, thank you both. Ms. Bigby?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I will pick it up on slide 13 with the quick update on the culture assessment. And slide 14 is a summary of the recommendations that came out of the assessment, which was a collaboration with management. Then on slide 15, just a quick snapshot. This recommendation has been completed. The policy research group enhanced the policy flow, working with the charter officers, and came up with this flow that you see in the diagram, and we'll be tracking their projects as they move through policy research using the swim lanes, so that it will be easy for everyone to see where their projects are at any given time. So we're real excited to start seeing that in action. All right, slide 16, please. The other 4 items are in HR's court. We're all working together, but we have Ms. Nuri Allers here from HR. She is the manager of learning and development, and she'll provide a quick update on some of these items and where they're at.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. My name is Nuri Allers, and I'm the manager for learning and organizational development. And I'm here to explain a little bit of the progress that we have. I want to thank the City Auditor, Ginger Bigby, for inviting us to be here today. So in the areas for organizational culture report, if we can go to the next slide. Number 2 was leadership training. And the recommendation said, while some leadership training is available, the city commissioners should consider including a formal executive coaching program available for city commissioners and charter officers. So we did some research, and we found an executive coach who actually has had experience with elected officials and utilities. So it's someone who understands the model that we run here in the city, and for you is her proposal. The next area, or the next point, the next slide. Is this, the next one was, well, some leadership training is available. The city commissioners should consider including or reestablishing a leadership development program for senior leaders and potential leaders. We understand that this recommendation goes hand in hand with the auditor's report for the need of a succession plan in the city. So we are working on that, and that will be included in the December report for the succession planning. The next slide is addressing the internal conflict resolution, and the city does not offer resources for voluntary employee conflict resolution. So the objective of this one conflict resolution program that was created for a government, actually in Orange County, sets that the objectives for that training is to work and to create a model for conflict resolution. So in order to bring that to the city, we contacted this group, and they are bringing also, they sent a proposal to train 10 facilitators here in the city of Gainesville. It would include some of us in learning and organizational development and in different departments, so that then those certified facilitators can go ahead and facilitate conflict resolution sessions. So the next slide actually explains the model that they are presenting. They said that they will train up to 10 facilitators. So in the morning, we will participate in the conflict resolution training. And then in the afternoon, we will become certified on presenting and actually facilitating that training for the city. So it will all be done during a one day, and we have a date that works for us on October 15th. So after that, it would be identifying participants from different departments, so that it is not centralized to HR, but something that will be, we would have facilitators in different departments. The next slide, I think, is just more information about them and a video about what they are proposing.
Great, thank you.
All right, on slide 17, we wanted to make a quick mention of some other emerging risks that are impacting organizational culture. So that's an always changing environment. Right now, many departments are facing staffing shortages and mandatory overtime. The ERP system transition on the general government side, which also impacts GRU for payroll, is always bringing additional risks and process changes and working out the glitches. Leadership resignations and the vaccine mandate, of course, with those activities going on, pose risk across the city as well. So those are items that we're monitoring right now. Mayor Pro Tem, any questions before we move into audit issue follow-up? Okay.
No, I'm just excited to hear about some of the, both the conflict resolution and the leadership training. You know, I think the more quickly we can get that embedded and start taking advantage of those, the better. So, you know, I'll just follow up with you, Ms. Bigby, and figure out exactly, you know, what we need to do and how to get those agended for full commission approval.
Very good. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Brecca Anderson, Assistant City Auditor, to tell you about our audit issue follow-up.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem. We're discussing the audit issue follow-up program today. You all have seen the slide here before, I'm sure you have, which shows the process for our audit issue follow-up program. Whenever we have an audit issue resulting from an audit engagement, we follow this process. If it is a moderate to high risk audit issue with a management action plan. We established a date for implementation along with management. And we entered onto a tracker. And we go through the process, and then once the audit issue is, we've been contacted that it is ready to be reviewed, that it's been implemented, or even when it's time for us to come in to do a follow-up of the audit issue, we go in and connect with management and to validate that the audit issue has indeed been implemented. If not, it remains open. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, on this slide here, I'm happy to report that we have no past due audit issues. Since our last audit update, now we have 2 audit issues that were closed, okay, and we're going to discuss those in just a moment. And now we have a total open audit issues of 16. There is an increase there, and that's resulting from new audit reports being released and new audit issues and management action plans.
Thank you. Ms. Bigby, you want to jump in?
I just had a quick question to Ms. Anderson. When we started this process about a year ago, there were some very old audit issues back to 2015, 2016. So do we have any of those old issues left in our open audit issues?
Actually, thank you, Ms. Bigby. Actually, no, we do not. They've all been closed. Yes.
That's fantastic news.
Yes, kudos to management as well. Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now we're looking at the closed audit issues. Kudos on the first one is the annex property fee collection audit, which is one of the open audit issues that Ms. Bigby was just referring to. It was from an audit report from 2018, so it was one that was had been open for 3 years, and it had been past due for the last couple of years. When we came in, the last couple of periods. When we came in, we looked at the risk, established another due date, and now the audit issue has been sufficiently closed. I'd like to say kudos to Budget and Finance, to Sustainable Development, GRU, and Public Works, and other departments who worked together to close this previously past due audit issue related to annexations. The city was not receiving the revenues due in newly annexed areas. We did identify some areas where we were not receiving those revenues. The properties were not identified. Okay, management has worked together to improve these processes and are committed to better communications and collaborative efforts to ensure our properties are identified. If you could pull up the flow chart, please. Okay, thank you. This flow chart, during our audit issue validation, we did internal audit, worked with the management to document the process flow and to identify areas where controls should be enhanced. We did identify areas of risk. And so how it works is once a property is annexed, sustainable development actually works the annexation process along with other departments. They oversee it, notify the city departments once it's done, and external agencies to ensure that they have the information and they understand which properties or parcels or addresses have been annexed into the city. The departments utilize this information to identify the properties to bill for revenues such as utility taxes, solid waste, stormwater, so some of those were being missed. Okay, several levels of verification have now been incorporated. We worked with them for quite a bit to ensure that this gets implemented, and now there are levels of verification that have been incorporated in the process to ensure that not only are we having the notification and identification, we're also verifying that the revenues are indeed being received. I'd like to invite Ms. Leila Stewart with Sustainable Development to speak on this follow-up issue. She is on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Leila Stewart, Sustainable Development staff. I want to thank the City Auditor's Office, especially Ms. Anderson, for all of the help that went into this. There are a lot of revenue streams that are impacted by annexation from general government, GRU, state revenue sharing, and this was a very comprehensive look at all of these. And there was a lot of teamwork and collaboration that went into firming up existing processes and developing new ones. So we feel really good about this process going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart.
Thank you. And we turn it over to City Auditor, Ms. Ginger Bigby.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Appreciate that update.
Thank you. The other closed issues this past period were the Riker House issues. One remains open, 4 have been closed. Mr. Keegan, would you please bring up the spreadsheet? And I did want to see if Mr. Alexander is with our group virtually.
No, he's here.
Oh, great. Well, I'm going to ask Mr. Anderson to come up and speak about the issues that were closed. This is just a quick snapshot of the items in gray that we worked on. Mr. Alexander spent a lot of time coordinating with his team, with the internal controls group and finance, with the state attorney's office of the 8th jurisdiction. They had to redo the process for deferred prosecution payments. So there were so many moving pieces, and they got it all done. So we're really happy about that. Mr. Alexander?
Thank you, Ms. Bigby. Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you all for allowing me to come and just speak briefly on this process. And I got to say, we all know it kind of started out turbulent, but we're very pleased and proud of the ending result. And I just want to say thank you to the auditor's office. Not only have they been very helpful, but just the insight that they offered us to get things to where they need to be. I think we all learned a lot in this process. And I just want to say thank you all for your patience and your consideration and just the ability to just understand the entire process and the guidance that you gave. Without that, I don't think we would be at this point. So thank you, Ms. Bigby, to your team and those that help. This was a process. For those that don't know, I can kind of speak on from February on. I actually took over the Youth and Community Relations Bureau at the Gainesville Police Department, and we were able to begin to expedite some of these processes. And one, of course, is our third-party agreements and our relationships with the various organizations. We were able to come to some level of understanding of how those things would be intertwined in terms of the city's operation and what their part was in terms of supporting the Riker House Youth Academy. And the governance structure, we can all remember that James Moore came in and did an independent review and gave some recommendations there, and it was determined that Riker would remain under the police department at the time. But as we know, that Riker will actually be transitioning at some point, hopefully under the new youth services department that's being created. But creating those third-party agreements, working with the attorneys, Mr. Lee Libby, working with all of the various partners, our city leadership, City Manager Feldman, we were able to get some of those accomplished. And there's still a little bit of work to do down the road because, of course, the program plans to expand. In terms of our financial procedures, which I think was the most glaring part in terms of our audit concerns, we were able to work with all of those partners to create quite a bit of internal controls. And I would say that's one of the greatest things that came out of this is ensuring that we had some of those internal controls put in place, and transparency, I think, is something that we worked hard on. I could say I'm going into my 19th year with this organization, and this is our first year actively really engaging into a budgetary process. We were able to look at those things, and because of the help of our auditor's office and city leadership, we were able to make sure that we implemented some of those controls at the top end, especially for FY22 that's coming up. Also working with those outside entities that when we have donations and so forth, we're able to work with the Community Foundation to set up those special accounts that correlated with the City of Gainesville's policies. And so there's transparency in every level in terms of financial flows concerning the Riker House Youth Academy. And of course, our performance metrics, looking at those things and making sure that we celebrate the small wins, creating logic models, the same thing that we use for quality assurance when we apply for grants. I am a certified evidence-based professional through the Joyfield Institute, able to implement some of that training into all of our operations to ensure that we can show things from the input to the actual expected outcome. And that way we're able to show, how our tax dollars are put at work. And so we're very proud of that. And ensuring that we are compliant. My last comment before I say thank you to the Riker staff, and I have to do that, is we wanted to also make sure that the Riker House policies and procedures and financial procedures that's related to that program, also aligned with the Gainesville Police Department general orders. And so we took the time to work with our accreditation office, our Chief Inspector, Jamie Koenig, to ensure that our policies align with CALEA, which is our police accreditation. And so all the way 360 degrees, we're making sure that things are aligned perfectly, properly, I should say, but more importantly, that there's levels of transparency, internal controls to support what we do at the program. And lastly, this has been a long process, a 2-year process. And I gotta say thank you to the Reichert House staff. Throughout all of this, they've been able to shoulder everything that came at them, even through COVID, in this process, and continue to deliver exceptional services to one of our most adverse populations in our city. And so I'll be remiss if I don't say thank you to them, to the men and women over there, to our chief, Chief Jones, for allowing us to do that. And again, to the auditor's office, thank you so much, and City Manager Feldman. And that's all of my comments.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. And Mayor Pro Tem, I also wanted to mention that management is fielding requests from the state auditor as well, the Auditor General. And there were a lot of questions for Reichert House, so John was often pulling double duty trying to get us stuff and trying to get responses to the Auditor General. And Mr. Feldman and Chief Jones were instrumental in helping with that, but we really appreciate their persistence in getting these issues closed. All right, if we can please, let's go on to the internal audit plan updates.
If you do, just let me know.
Mayor Pro Tem, we have been adding audits periodically to the audit plan, which is about a 12 to 18 month lookout. And as we're completing audits, we add a couple new ones based on current risk. Then we'll have a reset late this year, probably November, December, and ask you to relook at the priorities on the audit plan. Are there any that we want to prioritize or move up? Meanwhile, we have 2 that we'd like to add now. So if you would recommend the City Commission approve these 2 adds. One is the General Government ERP System User Access Management Audit. So before implementation, we had 3 advisory service audits. We kept tracking it as high risk. Now that it's been implemented, we wouldn't continue monitoring. Rather, we would identify risks that would result in an audit. So we have had some comments about user access management risks, and that would be an ideal first IT audit for this system. Also, GRU and general government budgeting processes and reporting. We're thinking maybe April next year, but we have not worked with either finance department to see what would be an appropriate time to start the audit. So we'll socialize with them, discuss some needs that they have, bring up some risks that we have, and we'll try to better scope that project. So we think that that's an audit that you would appreciate.
Very good. Without objection, Commissioner. Okay, we'll recommend that to the Commission then.
Okay. We are on slide 25, just a real quick update from the fraud hotline and investigations. We had 3 open when these materials are printed, but they have since been closed. So today we have no open, everything's been resolved. Down to the external audits, we're only going to speak to one slide, the city operational audit with the Florida Auditor General. They contacted us this week and said they would prefer to have 2 separate exit conferences, possibly 2 reports, we're not sure on that. So we have the first exit conference coming up soon that is on 2 topics only, the Reichert House work and the GCRA work. All remaining topics will be in the second exit conference, which hasn't been scheduled yet. Then the remaining slides for the external audit have not changed. We update those once a year when the external financial statement auditors present their reports. So we will move down to the wrap-up slide on slide 34, and it just shows the next audit committee meetings. Audit and Finance is November 15th, and that's when Finance will present their final year-end amendatory. And January 24th is the first audit committee meeting under the new structure, and we should have our new external members, so we'll have 3 people on the audit committee at that time. Mayor and Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem, do you have any questions?
Okay, I just want to thank everybody. A very thorough report. Appreciate the updates. There's a lot of good news embedded in this. So, I think a couple of big things have been hanging over us, like the outstanding audits that had never been closed, and certainly Reichert House. That's phenomenal news to see where we are with that. So just want to thank everybody that's worked so hard on that. I know it wasn't easy. It's nice to get to the point where we are right now. So thank you, Ms. Bigby, for your leadership, and everybody within the organization for their participation. So without objection, we'll recommend that the commission accept this auditor's update. And would you like a 5-minute recess before we get into the financial stuff?
I think I do.
Okay, so we're going to take a recess. We'll reconvene at 3:35. Okay, thank you for allowing us that brief recess. Before we move to our next item, we'd like to invite any members of the public who wish to make any comments or share any thoughts with us on the auditor's quarterly update to do so at this time. So Marie, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If any members of the public wish to make a comment and you're listening in the Zoom meeting, please dial *9 to raise your hand, and the number should be on your screen. I don't currently see anyone waiting, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'm just going to give it a few more moments. All right, Marie, anybody?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. So up next, we will then hear our fiscal year 21 third quarter analysis of budget to actual. And do we have you, Ms. Ramos?
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Cynthia Ramos, Finance Director. This quarterly report presents an overview of the city's operating revenues and expenditures for the general fund, special revenue fund, and the proprietary fund through the third quarter of fiscal year 2021. It has budget compared to actual experience, and it explains any notable variances or trends in these numbers. And it also provides a projection through year end. Based on preliminary projections, the general fund is projected to end the fiscal year with a $3.5 million surplus. The special revenue fund is projected to end the fiscal year with a $13.1 million below the amended budget, and the proprietary funds are expected to end the fiscal year at $27.7 million below the amended budget. We are now 8 days before the end of the fiscal year, so we'll provide another update in November as to what the experience was for the actual fiscal year, and we're here to answer any questions you may have specifically about this item.
Okay, thank you. Any questions at this time? Okay, please continue. Oh, I guess before that, without objection, we will approve the commission accept this and open it up for public comment on the item. Marie?
If any members of the public would like to share a comment, you may dial 1-301-715-8592. You'll enter the meeting ID number 882-1174-5921. Then you'll dial *9 to raise your hand. There are currently no members of the public waiting.
Okay. Again, we'll just give it a few seconds here. Like somebody has a dot matrix printer going on. Okay, Marie, anybody?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, then we'll forward that to the City Commission for their consideration. And up next is our fiscal year 21 third quarter investment performance reports. Ms. Ramos.
Okay, so in accordance with the city's investment policy, quarterly investment and performance reports are required to be submitted to the City Commission. These reports are included as a more detailed backup to these, and they include a report for the operating funds, SBA Prime Fund Investment Performance Report, the General Employees Pension Fund, the Police Officers and Firefighters Pension Fund, the Retiree Health Trust Fund, and the Evergreen Cemetery Trust Fund. I'll provide a high-level overview of these, just for the record. So the general government pooled cash is held in the SBA Prime Fund, an interest-bearing truist deposit bank account. As of June 30th, 2021, the cash and investment balance was $157.8 million. Fiscal year to date interest was generated at $186,412 at an annualized rate of return of 0.16%. This can be seen in attachment B, page 1. The Evergreen Cemetery Trust Fund is managed by the city in accordance with its own investment policy. As of June 30th, 2021, the fund had an investment account balance of $1.9 million with a fiscal year-to-date investment return of 37%. This can be seen in attachment F, page 1. The general employees pension plan is managed by the city in accordance to its own investment policy. As of June 30th, 2021, the plan had an investment account balance of $729.5 million with a fiscal year-to-date investment return of 27.8% to be exact. And this information can be found in attachment C, page 4. The police officers and firefighters pension plan is managed by the plan's board of trustees and according with its investment policy. As of June 30th, 2021, the plan had an investment account balance of $356.6 million with a fiscal year date investment return of 23.4%. You can find this detail in attachment D, page 2. The Retiree Health Trust Fund is managed by the city in accordance with its investment policy. As of June 30th, 2021, the fund had an investment account balance of $74 million with a fiscal year-to-date investment return of 25.69%. And this detail can be found in attachment E, page 3. Additionally, there are 2 internal committees that meet quarterly to review the portfolio's performance, economic and market conditions to ensure the city is most favorably positioned. And we are here to answer any detailed questions you may have.
First of all, nice returns.
Yes, they are.
It's pretty crazy. Well, I won't say crazy. It beats the alternative, I guess.
Yes.
That's very, very nice to see. Commissioner, do you have any questions? Okay, then without objection, we will forward these to the City Commission for their review. We appreciate that. I'll turn it over to Marie to see if there's any members of the public that wish to speak on this item.
Any members of the public would like to share a comment, please dial *9 to raise your hand. There's no one waiting, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, then we will go to our next item, which is the fiscal year 21 third quarter performance report of the fuel hedging program.
And for this one, I would like to introduce Jeff Lemunion, who will take over this presentation.
All right, welcome back.
All righty, thank you. Is the document up?
It is not. We can see your face really well. There we go. Got it.
Here we go. Okay. And so, as we know, back in April of 2020, the city created a fuel hedging program primarily to increase the certainty of future fuel costs and to strive to create a lower overall cost of fuel in the long term. And with this program, there were several parameters that were put in place, one of which is that the hedging was not to extend more than 18 months into the future. And as of the end of the third fiscal quarter, the hedging went into August of 2022. And so it was well within that parameter. The other parameter is that hedging would not exceed 80% on a volume basis of the expected fuel usage for both gasoline and diesel fuel. And again, as of June 30th, it is for those things for the remainder of fiscal 21 and for all of fiscal 22 is in the 70 to 80% range, not exceeding 80%. So is well within that parameter as well. For the third quarter, the city experienced petroleum costs, both gasoline and diesel fuel combined, of about $2.24 per gallon. But because of the realized gains from the fuel hedging program of 56 cents per gallon, there was a net fuel cost net of the hedge of about $1.68 per gallon versus a budgeted amount of $1.75 per gallon. Moving forward, again, as of June 30th, there was just under $840,000 worth of unrealized gains And what this means is this is future negative fuel costs, essentially, is what this is. And so if we take that and spread that over the anticipated gallons to be consumed between now or between June 30th of this year and the end of August of 22, that comes out to about 39 cents per gallon of unrealized gains as of the end of the third fiscal quarter. And so with that, the plan moving forward would be to accumulate additional hedges as they are needed to control risk and to create a higher certainty of future fuel cost, and to do so when market conditions are favorable to do that.
All right, very good. Thanks for the update. Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate that.
Yep, my pleasure.
Ms. Ramos, anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay, Commissioner, any questions? Okay, so then without objection, we'll forward this to Commission, the performance report for their consideration. And Marie, turn it over to you to see if there's any members of the public.
Any members of the public wish to share a comment, please dial *9 to raise your hand after you dial the number on your screen. There is no one waiting at the moment.
Okay, we will then go to our next item, which is the GRU internally prepared budget to actuals for the period ending on June 30th.
Good afternoon, Mayor Poe and Commissioner Johnson. This is Len Loria. I'm going to walk you through the report. I trust that you have the copies that we sent over to the Commission's office.
We do.
Okay, on page 2, these are all the combined revenues of all 5 segments. And you'll see at the bottom, the total revenues for our revised budget was about $295 million. Our actual revenues are about $299 million. So we came in about $3.8 million over budget. If you go to page 3, we have our total expenses of about $169 million for the revised budget. Actual expenses came in at $164 million. So we had a savings of about $4.7 million. And then if we subtract our what we call our flow of funds, our debt service, our UPIF contributions, our transfer to the City of Gainesville General Fund, and also the transfer to our debt defeasance, we actually had a $1.2 million actual, which was $9 million better than what we had budgeted for the third quarter of the fiscal year. When we get into the following pages, that each of the segments, so on page 4, we have electric system, and the revenues are a little bit more broken out there, but the totals are essentially the same as we saw in the combined systems. For electric system, our actual net impact rate stabilization was a negative $3.5 million. We had budgeted $8.5 million. So we had about a $5 million improvement there, even though we still are in the negative. We move on to page 5 for the water system. We had a $1.7 million bottom line number. Budget was projected to be a negative $221,000. So that's about a $1.9 million improvement there. Move on to the next page, page 6. We're looking at the wastewater system. There we had a $2 million bottom line impact. And we had projected about $34,000. So we're doing about $2 million better there. Gas system on page 7. We had about a $1.5 million bottom line number. We had projected about $815,000. So we've done better than budget by about $644,000. And then our telecom system, the revised budget's flat. Their actuals, because we don't seasonalize the telecom budget, the actuals were a loss of 551,000. That's it. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
All right, Commissioner, questions? Overall, pretty good news, so appreciate you delivering that. And without objection, we'll forward the third quarter budget to actuals for Gainesville Region Utilities to the full commission for their consideration. And Marie, turn it over to you for any members of the public that wish to make any comments on this item.
Any members of the public wish to make a comment, you may dial the Zoom audio number on your screen and then dial *9 to raise your hand. I don't see anyone at the moment, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'll wait a few seconds again. Hey, Ms. Kessler, anybody?
No, sir.
All right, very good. Then we will move on to general public comment. Ms. Kessler, do we have anybody on the line for general public comment?
There is no one on the line, but I'll repeat the numbers one more time. The public comment phone line is 1-301-715-8592. The meeting ID is 882-1174-5921. Then you'll dial *9 to raise your hand and be recognized. No one's on the line at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Member comment? You good? I want to thank Ms. Malden for being with us today. And thank you, Commissioner Johnson, for your service on this committee. Very much appreciated. And thank you, Ms. Bigby, and your staff for all the preparation for this meeting. And we'll see you again on November 15th, which is the date of our next audit and finance, our last audit and finance meeting. Okay, with that, we are adjourned.